And welcome, Sports with Rich here, live on a Tuesday night, the 24th of January, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, always live on the SLG Network and my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'd like you to do that. And welcome to the program. And that's the Wiz, Robert Rizzo, as always. I'm Rich Mancuso. And don't forget our social media will be scrolled at the bottom of the screen, as always. And hopefully technical issues are not bothering us tonight. Wiz, are you there?
I'm here. I'm here as always, energized as always. Another hectic week of sports, football, baseball, basketball, you name it. There's always stuff going on. So we're here Tuesday night as always. Tune in on the SLG network.
We're here for 2 hours as always tonight. Of course, we're going to talk a little of everything. We'll start with the NFL, and then we're going to have some Major League Baseball, Hall of Fame induction there at the bottom of the hour. Julio Pobon, the founder, president of Latino Sports and Latino Sports Ventures, will join us, talk about Carlos Beltran coming up short, first-year eligibility in the Hall of Fame. I write for LatinoSports.com. So does the Wiz, Robert Rizzo. I write also for NewYorkSportsDay.com and some other sites. And, of course, our social media, again, scrolled at the bottom of the screen. And, as always, sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. You want to get energized? Grab the Skull. Go find the Skull at a local store. The national distribution is coming. No website yet, but give them a call. 475-264-6091. As it says, need to get energized, look for the Skull. Skull Fuel Energy. And yeah, I got energized before we came on the air tonight because I have the Skull with me. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but there it is. That's the Skull. Look for it. We'll talk more about Skull Energy here on the program and as long as on the other platforms. Live on the SLG Network. Wiz, how are you? Welcome once again. As I said, let's get to the NFL because we're there. This is now the favorite part of the NFL schedule for me. We're going into conference championship play this Sunday, but let's first talk about how these teams got there. Divisional round. 4 of the top quarterbacks in the league will be there. Eagles, the number 1 seed against the 49ers in the NFC. The Chiefs, the number 1 seed in the AFC against the Bengals. I believe four good teams, 4 of the best, 2 good matchups to decide who's going to the Super Bowl in a few weeks.
It was a wild weekend this past weekend with divisional round. You had 4 games going at it, starting with Jaguars, Chiefs, Giants, Eagles, then Bills, Bengals, followed by Cowboys, Niners. You name it, you had everything going on. Only one team scored 30 or more points, the Philadelphia Eagles, that number 1 seed out in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts. But like what you said before, championship weekend, nothing gets better than this.
Yep, this is with the NFL. You know, a lot of NFL fans love the Super Wild Card weekend, which was good, granted, and the divisional play this past weekend, which was good. But it comes down to this: 4 teams vying to get into that Super Bowl. That's what it's all about. But this team did not get there despite their marvelous run, an unexpected season. The Giants here in the New York area, the quarterback Daniel Jones. Again, the Eagles were a mismatch, as the coach Brian Dubble said. There was a crash landing there. And sure it was, because the Eagles led at 28-0 at halftime. The Eagles had 18 first downs in that first half. Jones had nothing like he did against the Vikings the week before. But you know what? Those are the Eagles, the best team, I believe, in the NFL. Maybe the Chiefs they'll both get to the Super Bowl. Eagles are far more superior. It showed. Daniel Jones couldn't get by their defense. And, of course, the Giants did not look like the Giants that got them to that game playing the number 1 seed.
No, they looked like a completely different team than the team that faced off against the Minnesota Vikings the previous week. Daniel Jones was only 15 of 27 for 135 passing yards, 1 interception. That marked 2 interceptions in his last 7 games. So the turnover battle right there was 2 against 1 on the Giants side. Eagles won it, 5 sacks against 1. Philadelphia won the trenches battle on both sides of the ball. 38-7. Many fans turned this game off at halftime. And like you said before, the first half it was 1, but overall 13 first downs versus 26. That's the biggest difference out there. And as we have right here, a fan said named Costa said hashtag Fly Eagles Fly. So one more week they'll be in the Super Bowl.
Well, They show they are the best team in the NFL. And the way they score points, they can do it. By the way, that game did very well on the ratings. Both games did, amounting like to 43 million or 42 million viewers on both networks. And that's good for the NFL. And the Eagles will do that. A great Philadelphia fan base down there, of course. And and a lot of the Eagles depend, this team rides on the quarterback, Jalen Hurts. As I said, one of the four good quarterbacks, outstanding quarterbacks in the NFL, playing to get into the Super Bowl this coming Sunday. 2 touchdowns before the half. The third one he got was that he threw a third before the half. No effect of a bad shoulder on Jalen Hurts. There were questions about that. The Eagles outgained the Giants 258 yards to 64 in the first half. And a lot of that is on Jalen Hurts.
Definitely. A lot of it was on Jalen Hurts and that offensive line. Hurts looked like his vintage self from the regular season, 16-24, 2 touchdowns passing, 1 touchdown on the ground. That marked his 10th game this season with a rushing touchdown. Only 24 years old, 3rd year in the league, 23-11 career record. And at home, I believe he has 30 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions. So at home, Jalen Hurts is it.
And again, the fan base, it's a rabid Lincoln Financial Field down there in Philly. And also the Giants now with questions for next year, just to move ahead. They're already working on it. They have to re-sign Daniel Jones, going to be their franchise quarterback. Saquon Barkley, their main running back, who didn't have more effect against the Eagles, he may not be a Giant next year. The Giants have to fill a lot of holes if they want to get to that point where the Eagles are, Wiz.
Yeah, there's a lot of holes to fill, especially at quarterback, like you mentioned, Daniel Jones. I believe the Giants won't go more than 3 years, more than 4 years, especially. But 3-year deal on both sides, that's an agreeable deal. And Saquon Barkley, we've been saying it year in and year out. Running backs are disposable each season. So if you're going to pay a guy $20 million, he better be worth it. Ezekiel Elliott, was he worth it at $90 million, $100 million? I don't know, looking at it now, but Saquon Barkley right now, he is worth it, but he has to keep it up health-wise.
There's some defensive holes they have to fill, and even some on the offense. They have a lot of offseason work to do, and that will develop. The season just ended for them, but I believe they're in the right direction. Good coaching staff, and unless they lose a few of their assistant coaches to coaching vacancies in the NFL, and also they have, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for the Giants, but it was more than that. And they got to the divisional round. So they had a good season. Heads are down right now. They're a little down. It's expected because the Eagles just outplayed them all over. And I didn't expect that, Wiz. I thought it would be a more competitive game. But first time, Eagles 3 times. They beat the Giants this year.
They were the full better team from week 1 to week 18 into the playoffs, beating them 3 times. That's the biggest task in football. And we don't see it that much. And when we do, those are the special teams.
But I think down the line, you're still going to see 3 teams in the NFC East. There's no more the NFC least, as that we've been saying. Giants, Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, those 3. And the Washington Commanders are not far behind. Over in the AFC, though, Patrick Mahomes, once again, even with a bad ankle, gets his team back into the AFC Championship game against those Bengals. Mahomes went out of the game, came back in, said he was fine. 2 touchdowns and 195 yards, 75-yard drive in that fourth quarter. 5th straight AFC Championship game with the Bengals this coming Sunday. That'll be a good one.
That's definitely going to be a good one. That's going to be a must-watch. Mahomes versus Burrow. Anytime that's happening, you got to watch. Mahomes on the right ankle. I believe it was a high sprain, either a strain 3 or a strain 2. But Mahomes 22 of 30 on the game, 195 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. The biggest concern for Mahomes and the Chiefs going into Sunday will be how mobile is Mahomes. You won't see a lot of play action passes. What you saw in the fourth quarter, especially this past Saturday with Mahomes, is what you're going to get this next Sunday. A lot of passing, a lot of patient game, and no rushing for Mahomes, because anything on that ankle, anything can happen.
Well, one thing, though, as good as he is, as good as this season as Patrick Mahomes has had, they got to get to the Super Bowl and then maybe even win it. They've been that time of the team in the AFC we'll talk about the Bills not being dominant in the NFL postseason. First, let's look at Trevor Lawrence. You just mentioned him, Wiz. Jaguars quarterback, no comeback this time, but 217 yards again in passing. And what a season this young man had. He finally developed into a premier NFL quarterback and led his team to comeback wins the way he drove that team down the field with his long passing yardage. A lot of credit to this young man who, for the first 2 years of his young NFL career, got a lot of criticism that he wouldn't have it, wouldn't make it. He fooled everyone. He really did. Came up short again this past weekend in the divisional round, but I think the Jags, Doug Peterson, the coach, quite a future ahead. You're going to see them in there, I think, in the years to come more.
He definitely flipped the narrative on himself regarding Trevor Lawrence. First year having a 3-14 record overall. This year 10-9, including the playoffs. The biggest issue for him going throughout his career for now is his fumble issue. If he reduces the fumbles and the turnovers, the Jaguars will be a threat for years to come. That's the only issue for a 23-year-old and Trevor Lawrence. The sky's up from here for him.
Despite not advancing to the AFC Championship game, the future is bright down in Jacksonville. The future continues to be bright in Cincinnati for Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals getting back to the AFC Championship game a second consecutive year. Wiz, he said after the game, send those refunds because there's no neutral field now that have been discussed based on the Damar Hamlin tragic incident. Thank God Hamlin has recovered. It seems he still needs some oxygen, but thank God everything worked out. He was at the game up in Buffalo. No neutral site. Burrow and the Bengals will now travel to Kansas City. And Burrow with the 27-10 win over the Bills. 23 of 36, 243 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 first passes were complete. And that told the story right away. He knows how to scramble Burrow. The Bengals, even with an injured offensive line, but got protection for Bengal on the defensive side. Now they go to Kansas City for the Chiefs. The Chiefs have won the Bengals have beat the Chiefs. This is important to know. The Bengals have beat the Chiefs 3 of the last 3 times they have met, including 27-24 in a game last month. But that's a good matchup. And Burrow wants to get back to the Super Bowl. So does Patrick Mahomes. 2 of the best quarterbacks in the NFL out of the 4 remaining in the conference championship slate.
Burrow versus Allen, you just got to start it from there. But Burrow Mahomes, that's all you got to start it with because that's the AFC gauntlet. Everyone was saying Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, you name it. But Mahomes, Burrow, those are the last 2 standing. Burrow, throughout his 4 years, the last 4 years, he's won a national championship, torn his ACL, appeared in the Super Bowl, and next week he could potentially appear in another one. What a story for the kid. And everyone calls him Joe Cool Burrow, Joe Underdog Burrow. Every nickname you can call him, he's worth it.
Well, he's got the playoff experience now coming off last year, and now he's in it again. AFC Championship game. You know, you had Josh Allen on your mind, Wiz, and sure enough, we got to talk about him because everyone expected Josh Allen and the Bills to go deep and into the Super Bowl. That's not happening. Josh Allen said he played all season with an injured shoulder. And Stephon Diggs here, he got upset after the loss, left the locker room with his equipment still on, then was convinced to come back. He still had his gear on, then he returned. But the Bills were this team with Josh Allen that was supposed to be there all season long. Josh Allen was supposed to be the premier quarterback in the AFC, if not the entire NFL, with Patrick Mahomes. Well, obviously that didn't transpire. Now we find that Josh Allen says yesterday he played all year with an injured shoulder. Was that an excuse why the Bills did not advance? No, they played poorly. Josh Allen did not live up to expectations of this premier quarterback that he's supposed to be. And Burrows just was the better quarterback and continues to be.
Great point. Burrow was the better quarterback yesterday and has been the better quarterback throughout all the arguments, debates in the offseason, during the season. Burrow has been the better quarterback. Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills, it's been a one-man army. You look at the Buffalo Bills this past weekend, they couldn't run the ball. It came down to the quarterback, and you're not going to win a game if you're running the ball just essentially on your quarterback. You have to have a legit running game with the running back. Overall, the Bengals had 172 rushing yards versus the Bills 63 rushing yards. So just like that, they capitalized in the trenches on the defensive side and on the offensive side. Allen on the year, including playoffs, 17 interceptions, 16 fumbles. So along with Trevor Lawrence, Josh Allen's biggest issue is the turnover battle. If he reduces that, it's only up from here. And for both the Jaguars and the Bills, they can be legitimate threats.
Oh, those turnovers, and boy, do they hurt the Dallas Cowboys. We get into that. Because Dallas Cowboys are not going to the NFC Championship game once again. 30-year drought as the 49ers. And how about the 49ers? 12 straight wins now into this postseason. And that guy, that quarterback, Brock Purdy, who I am so high on, you know how much I believe in him, could take this team to the Super Bowl on Sunday and win it all. And why? Because he can throw. He can rush. He can get the ball to who he's got to get it to. The 49ers are showing they have a good offense, and they know how to get into opponent territory as they go to their second straight NFC Championship game. Quite accomplishment for Purdy, who started in Week 13 and knows how to drive a ball, knows how to drive his team down the field.
Exactly. He knows how to drive his team down the field. He doesn't expect too much out of him. He doesn't expect too much out of his teammates. He just gets the ball in the right place at the right time. When you have Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle as your receivers, as your targets, there's a lot going for you on the production side. So Purdy, 19 of 29, 214 passing yards. This was his only game without a passing touchdown so far. So that's one thing to look into going into this weekend against the Eagles, but also he can keep making history week in and week out. No starting rookie quarterback has ever reached the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy could be the first one. Not just Brock Purdy, but mystery relevant. Everyone has heard that name for the last 7 weeks, and the journey just lives on.
All right, Wiz, before we go into the odds of these two games and who you would pick, I'm going to tell you right now that Brock Purdy is my pick. I've been high on him since he took over for Godofalo, and I've been very, very high on him because it seems like he's a natural. He came right into the situation and got the 49ers going when he came in. Because I and a lot of football experts, did not believe the 49ers had this, even with McCaffrey as their acquisition there to get them a lot of yards. But I did not think Purdy had this. Nobody really knew he was a last round draft pick.
The last overall selection. No one knew about this kid, and the biggest thing is 8 weeks ago, his preparation to game day was totally different. He was just picking up the playbook for the third tier team, the third string team. Now he's starting with George Kittle, McCaffrey, and all these guys, and he's leading the way at 23, 24 years old from Iowa State, a small school overall when you look at all the schools as quarterbacks, but he's leading the way up for these guys, and San Francisco really won it for the last selection. No one thought that was going to happen.
It's a great story. And this continues to be a great story for Brock Purdy and the 49ers, but it's not for the Cowboys. No one, you got to question this. And there's been let's take a look at this. Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys coach, opted to punt 4th and 10 with 3 timeouts remaining after Prescott got them downfield, 2 incomplete completions, and then sacked. But to go on that 4th and 10 with 3 timeouts remaining, a lot of questions about McCarthy's coaching here. A lot of questions why the Cowboys can't get over the hump. This is a good offensive football team, Wiz. The defense may be lacking a little bit, but the Cowboys cannot get over the hump. That's 30 years now, I believe, that they can't advance to the NFC Championship game or get to where they want.
I believe it's 28, 29. It's getting to 30, and every year they have those expectations, and it all comes at the helm of Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, the defense. But all on Sunday, it was on Dak Prescott. 6th game this season with 2 or more interceptions, and that's been his narrative all season. Can he slow down the interceptions? And again, He didn't on Sunday. He went up against the best defense in the NFL, made Joey Bosa, made Fred Warner look like the elites they are. Fred Warner got the
Absolutely.
game-winning interception and won the game
You
19 to
said it
12.
well, and that's his narrative. That's Prescott's narrative. That and I'll say it again. You don't have a quarterback that can do it, you're not going to win. And you see the difference with the Niners. Why the 49ers got where they are because of Brock Purdy. You look at Burrow and what he's done with the Bengals. And then you look at Mahomes, who not having that great super year, but enough to look at being an MVP out of the league this year. But maybe it's a coaching, because I questioned, and a lot of Cowboy fans did, McCarthy's move there to go to the punt on 4th and 10.
I questioned it. I haven't even thought
3 timeouts remaining.
I have never even thought of that in flag football, intramural football. Trust me, I'm no former football player, but I used to play with my friends outside. And come on, what kind of play call is that? Ezekiel Elliott, your star running back, got slaughtered.
I was surprised. Yeah, really surprised. Well, anyway, so Championship Sunday sets up like this, and we're going to see games at Arrowhead Stadium, and we're going to see games at Lincoln Financial Field in Philly, and you got the Chiefs and the Bengals AFC Championship game on Sunday. That's the early game, I believe, right?
The first game we have 49ers at Philly at Lincoln Financial.
First, it's going to be Lincoln Financial. You're going to the Eagles and the 49ers, and I'm going to tell you right now, 2 of the best teams in the NFL. 2 across the top, obviously, in the NFC. And Wiz, I look at this game as being high scoring. 2 good quarterbacks with momentum right now. 49ers can go to the run as well as the pass. And the Eagles just about have everything, even the defense. And they're going to have that boisterous, rabid crowd at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia. They want the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. I like this to be a high-scoring game, but I'm looking for the 49ers and Brock Purdy to take them to the Super Bowl. That's my pick.
Good insights there, and honestly, I agree with you. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game. The total set at 45.5, and the current line is the Eagles are favored by 2.5. It's been moving day by day. They opened on Sunday night, and right now it's 2.5. I'm going to side with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. I just love the story coming out of Philadelphia in his 3rd year doing all this. Nick Sirianni at the helm being the head coach. Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert, Jason Kelsey, Lane Johnson. I just love that core. So I'm going to ride with Jalen Hurts and the Eagles for this upcoming Sunday.
But I think the 49ers will block out the crowd noise with the momentum and feeling they can win and go to the Super Bowl. And they missed last year, but I think they're a team that can get there. And I like them. I think they're going to beat the Eagles. I think it's going to be high scoring and close. And I don't count out Joe Burrow on anything. At Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, going to be loud as well. Maybe not loudest in Philadelphia. I expect another high score. This game won't be low scoring either. I think the 2 quarterbacks in this game, Mahomes for the Chiefs, Burrow for the Bengals. I believe that you're going to see a lot of scoring in this one as well. And I see this game. I just think that the Chiefs can get the ball, but Mahomes has been throwing more interceptions as of late. He did this season more than he ever has. And Burrows just knows how to keep his team, keep possession of the ball. The Bengals know how to keep the ball with them and and they'll keep the Chiefs off the field as much as they can with a really good defense. And a tight game, high scoring, Bengals win. They go to the Super Bowl. That's how I see it. I see a 49ers Bengals Super Bowl, Wiz.
That could be a nice matchup right there, San Francisco versus Cincinnati. But right now the line is Cincinnati 2.5, and it's funny because it opened at Kansas City -1, so it was basically a pick'em. In the last 48 hours, Cincinnati favored 2.5 points with a total set at 46.5. And I'm agreeing with you. I'm going to go with Cincinnati minus the 2.5. Joe Burrow, that narrative. But I said it before, the NFC side, so I think Burrow versus Hurts. All the stories leading up to it, I just love the impact. So Jalen Hurts, the Bama quarterback to Oklahoma, that now the Philly quarterback, 2nd-round pick. Then you go to Mahomes, Burrow. We've been talking about back-to-back Super Bowl appearances potentially. Anything gives in the NFL.
You know what? Everyone from the beginning of the season said the Chiefs and Eagles would be the Super Bowl, the last two standing. And that could very well be because they both are the number one seeds. They're expected to get to the Super Bowl. But then again, you look at what the Bengals have accomplished, you look what the Niners have accomplished, and they also do, like I keep saying, the narrative, as you said, was good quarterbacks, good offenses, two high-scoring games. It's going to be a fun weekend. It's going to be a fun Sunday in the NFL to see who goes to the Super Bowl in a couple of weeks in Chandler or in Phoenix, Arizona, in that area. And, maybe I'll finally see you and we can watch the game together because I forgot what this guy looks like. I really do. Regardless. Questions and comments in the queue. We want to hear from you. We'll have the fact of the week coming up right now as well at the bottom of the hour and get ready for Julio Bobone after that. Founder of Latino Sport Ventures, and talk about Carlos Beltran not making it in his first shot to the Hall of Fame. So let's bring in Avery, our great producer, and get the fact of the week going. And if you guys, look at that. They're just waiting. Avery's got his palms sweating.
Listen, I look forward to this moment every week.
No, I know. It's just I just get the feeling that because you're rubbing your
Rich,
palms that you do look forward to it.
I know you tell us that Robert and I aren't going to win this bobblehead, but I'm going to get so many of these right, you're not going to have a choice.
Well, you've got them right, so eventually I have to ship one to you.
Exactly.
Cal at the SLG Network is still waiting for the Aaron Judge bobblehead that I haven't shipped out to him yet because I don't know what a post office looks like anymore. That's why. Cal, if you're watching, you'll get that bobblehead.
So far, me and Avery are 2-1 on the year with our fact of the weeks. Hopefully, we can get to 3-1 tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh, boy, they're keeping score. Look at that. Well, the fact of the week, let's put it up. It's sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Get your energy needs. Get energized. And here we go. Guys, get ready. Here it is. Anyone else out there in the queue, you're welcome to comment and try and get the answer. And this is an NBA fact. Remember, it's not trivia. I want to know, and the NBA team with the player's name in the NBA team who never played for a team that had a distinctive losing streak in his career. So, the NBA team and the player in his career with the same team never had a distinctive losing streak, meaning, a long one when I say distinctive. So give me the team, the player, and maybe when it started, the year.
Okay, so we're looking for a player on a team that doesn't have a distinctive losing streak.
Yeah, throughout his entire career with the same team.
Okay. Is it a current player?
No.
That's a good clue right there.
Yeah, it's a good clue. I'm not giving it away. I'm not giving you any more. You guys are not getting it easy with the fact of the week.
I'm going to take a guess here. This is my pick, and I'm going to guess again at the end of the show. My pick is San Antonio Spurs Tim Duncan.
You're wrong.
That's a good one.
Good try, though.
That's a good one, though. That's a good one.
Good try, but no good. Nope. All right, Avery.
First player that comes to mind is really a guy that never lost a lot. It was Larry Bird when he played for the Celtics.
Oh, good try, but you're wrong, Avery. I want you guys, you want to give it one more shot before we go to a quick break and update by Avery?
I'm gonna
update.
I'm going to stay with the Texas. We got another guess from John, and it was Avery's guess, Larry Bird from the Boston Celtics.
John is wrong. Avery's wrong. Woods is wrong.
I'm gonna stay Texas theme. I'm gonna go Dallas Mavericks, Dirk Nowitzki.
Nope, you're wrong.
Damn.
One more shot, Avery.
It can't be as obvious as Michael Jordan for the Bulls, can it?
What did you say?
Michael Jordan with the Chicago Bulls.
You got it.
There we go.
I told you, Rich. I study this every week.
All right, you got it. Now, think about the second part, but I will give you the fact of the week that you got it. You got the guy. You got the guy name and the team. All right. Now tell me, what was the distinctive losing streak and for how many years? So you think you're going to get it, but you're not going to get the whole thing and make it tough. But you're right. Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls.
Was it the 3 years he was playing baseball?
No, it's all basketball, Avery. It's all NBA. It's only about Michael Jordan.
The Bulls were bad without Jordan.
Well, no, but the Bulls were also good with Jordan. So that's what guys got to think about next. You did get to Chicago. Very good, though. I mean, you're getting them. But, yeah, but you got to get the whole thing. So you tell me later on, and anyone else in the queue, what was the losing streak, how many games, and how many years was that? Did that go for? We're sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Get your energy needs here at Sports with Rich. Like, comment, and subscribe on my channel, Rich Mancuso on YouTube, and here live on the SLG network. There's the number for Skull Fuel Energy, 475-264-6091. Get energized. Look for that skull at your nearby store nationwide. That is coming. Here's Avery now with a quick sports update, and then we'll come back and get Julio Pobone on with us. Sports with Rich continues on the other side after this with Avery. Go ahead, Avery.
All right, guys, here we go. We got our NBA slate first tonight. 3 games going right now, 4 more to come. Live games right now. The Chicago Bulls lead the Indiana Pacers 37-21. Just started the third quarter, just out of halftime. Boston Celtics lead the Miami Heat by 8 at halftime. They are up 58-50. 3 minutes left to go in the first half. The New York Knicks are currently beating the Cleveland Cavaliers by 5 of a score of 47-42. And the the Denver Nuggets are currently leading the New Orleans Pelicans by 4. 25 seconds to go in the first quarter of that game. Then we skate on over to the ice, looking at the NHL slates. San Jose and the Detroit Red Wings are tied at 0 end of the first period. Boston Bruins and the Montreal Canadiens also knotted at 0, getting towards the end of the first period. Let's see. The Los Angeles Kings are down 1 to the Philadelphia Flyers. The Flyers are up 3-2 with 5 minutes left in the second period. The Florida Panthers are leading the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 4-3. 4 minutes left to go in the second period. The Minnesota Wild and the Tampa Bay Lightnings are knotted at 1. 10 minutes to go in the first period. Or in the second period, rather. Excuse me. The New Jersey Devils are leading the Vegas Golden Knights by a score of 1-0. Just at the start here of the second period. The Sabres are leading the Blues by a score of 3-0. 7 minutes left to go in the first period. And the Winnipeg Jets are up on the Nashville Predators by a score of 1-0. 3 minutes left in the first period. And we'll head on over to college men's hoops. We have currently Miami is leading Florida State by a score of 73-52 with 10 minutes left to go in that one. And the Oklahoma Sooners are trailing the TCU Horned Frogs by a score of 27-13. 8 minutes left to go in the first half of that one. All right, guys, this has been your sports update sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. I will go ahead and we will toss it back to Robert and Rizzo to do our guest interview with Mr. Julio, the owner and founder of Latino Sports. Back to you guys.
All right, Avery, thank you. Welcome back, Sports with Richard. Avery, make note of this. Maybe my bad, but on Skull Fuel Energy is the wrong area code. It came to my attention. We have to change that. It's not 476. It's the area code should read 475. The number is right. Skull Fuel Energy, 475-264-6091. 6091. We're sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Get energized, your energy needs. Avery, please make that note. I thank you, my friend, our great producer behind the scenes. Like, comment, and subscribe. SLG Network here and Sports with Rich on my YouTube channel. I'm Rich Mancuso. There he is, the Wiz Robert Rizzo, every week here, every Tuesday live, 8 p.m. And now we have the distinct pleasure of bringing in someone we know real well. Wiz, it's Julio Pabon. And he is the founder of Latino Sports Ventures, latinosports.com, a website we proudly write for. And there he is in Puerto Rico, nice and warm, and it's Julio Pabon. There he is, the boss, as I call him. How are you, Julio?
I'm doing well. How you guys doing, man?
Doing great.
Stay warm in New York. It's going to be a nasty day Wednesday, but you're in warm, sunny Puerto Rico. What can I tell you?
It's a little bit chilly tonight. 67.
67. That's chilly.
Yeah,
I don't need to have air conditioning. This is natural air conditioning.
They're never happy there was until the roosters start at 5:35 in the morning.
Yeah, these roosters here, they must have had COVID or something because their clock is off. I got one here that crows around, but it's like 3 a.m. But I got used to it, so it's better than hearing a sanitation truck or an ambulance or a police car in the South Bronx.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Julio, welcome to the program. Thanks for joining us. And the time it was perfect to have you on because I want to get the reaction in Puerto Rico where you are. Hall of Fame vote came out tonight. First out year eligibility for Carlos Beltran. Got 40% of the vote, 46.4% of the vote. Came up short. Next year, though, it looks like he could be a cinch with a crowded field. A proud ball player from Puerto Rico who deservingly has all the numbers. I didn't think he would, as I wrote on the website on New York Sports.com, and we're going to do a follow-up on Latino sports tonight early in the morning. I didn't think Beltran would get in the first time. Scott Rowland got the first year nod. Congratulations to him. We'll be joining Fred McGriff in there by the Veterans Committee. The induction's in July. Julio, what is the feeling there in Puerto Rico about Beltran not getting in his first year of eligibility? He does have 9 years more, and I think next year he definitely gets the vote, the 75% needed to get in.
Well, it was it was much better than his first try than what happened to Carlos Delgado, who only got 3%, and as a result, he's out. Which that shocked a lot of people here in Puerto Rico. That Carlos Delgado only got 3%, and that disqualified him, and he get more than 5%. So there was more conversation about that than about Carlos Beltran, because Carlos Beltran, he's had a very good career. He had a very solid career. We used to call him the Mr. October, the Puerto Rican Mr. October, because he would always shine in playoffs. It was like he knew that was his last year, so playoffs was the time where everybody was looking, so he'd get a good contract because he always played. He was a monster playing in the playoffs, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the thing with Carlos. And what people felt here was that maybe the fact that he was involved in that whole base stealing, sign stealing.
2017 World Championship Astros team. I was going to ask you about that, but I think a lot of guys, just like the steroid era guys, A-Rod and whether it be Sosa, A-Rod, whoever else up for eligibility, did not get in. It's being held against them, including Barry Bonds, but and their eligibility is over. Even Roger Clemens, but Beltran, it's a different story, and that's just what I write about all the time. Pete Rose was being held hostage with this every year.
Yeah,
what he did on the field had nothing to do. Even and Wiz, jump in on this.
Mm-hmm. Well, because that's a fact.
It's not fair because what they did on the field, and Beltran had the numbers, regardless if he was the only player that was, his name was up, came up with all this crap.
Yeah, some
And
people
Yeah.
feel that
Beltran
he was.
admitted, but the writers hold grudges, and that's what it is. This is different than the guys that didn't get in for the steroids. They cheated. They got caught red-handed. Carlos Beltran really just banging a garbage can. I'm not saying it was right, but that shouldn't hold them against them. And then I'm getting a lot of debate, and I can understand their argument. The debate, Julio, about the guys who got implicated with the steroids, they didn't get in. Why should Beltran? I can understand that justification, but to me, they're totally different situations.
Not only that, but I think also you have to understand one thing. The whole thing about stealing signs. Let's be real. We know that Houston Astros was not the only team. A lot of teams
Exactly.
and a lot of teams were stealing signs in different ways. You know,
Do it all the time.
yeah. So the fact that and I think that the writers who vote kind of recognize that the difference between this and steroids is that someone actually got busted. Got tested positive, or someone lied. They said they didn't take it and then they came out positive, and that sticks to the mind more than the fact that this was bad and this caused a lot of ruckus. Remember, I mean, it really did cause a lot of
No,
ruckus,
definitely.
especially from a lot of players who felt like they would cheat. Wait a minute, you would cheat? You knew you were doing signs, so there was a lot of ruckus about this. But I got to be honest with you, a lot of people here felt that Beltran, we knew Beltran was not going to get in the first round. And I knew personally because of that, because the writers, like you said, writers remember stuff like that, even though I agree with you that, maybe a lot of the stuff didn't affect the game that much. Maybe this is something off the field. His numbers throughout as a player, were not affected by him stealing the signs or whatever they were doing. But that, with a combination of the fact that any person who follows baseball knows that there's other ways that other teams were stealing signs as well. Houston got busted. So I don't think it hurt him that much. I think that the fact that he got over 50% of the vote is a good sign. And I think that he'll be a second. I think next year he'll make it. I think he'll make it. What
I
what
believe
people
he
here are
will.
really pissed off about, Rich, people here really, really pissed off about was about Carlos Delgado not even getting. Okay, he might not get votes to get into the Hall of Fame, but less 3% on the first try. People felt that was really, really, really bad. Maybe on the whole issue of him not standing up or getting out for the American national anthem in the seventh inning, which he was very clear about that. He says, "Look, I don't have a problem getting up for the national anthem, the beginning of the game, but then getting out again on the seventh inning, supporting a war that I don't support. This is all something that I'm not into." He was very straight about it, and a lot of fans, a lot of fans are saying, "I don't stand up. I don't stand up for the seventh inning stretch. If it's not take me out to the ball game, I'm not standing. I'm not gonna be there singing or pledging allegiance or doing something, trying to make us super patriots when this country is doing some of the most horrendous things around the world." And Carlos, I think, got hurt for that.
To switch the sides on it, and it relates to Hispanic legends all over. Year by year, there's so many Hispanics making a name for themselves across baseball. So let's just start there. How did Latino sports come about, starting in 1990 all the way from now? We're in 2023, basically 33 years. How did the goal, the initiative, all of it come about?
Well, this was a crazy experience. The fact is that, when you stand up for the injustice, when you stand up for something that you just don't feel good about, that's what happened. I was in Puerto Rico in 1989, and we were vacationing like I'm doing now. We came in December. It's a ritual. December we leave. We're like the birds that fly south. So in December, when I was in college, I would save up money. I would accidentally or openly, kill members of my family. So I would tell my professors that somebody in my family died, and I had to go to Puerto Rico, and I couldn't come back to take the finals. So can they give me the finals ahead of time, or can I register so I can come to Puerto Rico in December? So I've always had a ritual coming to Puerto Rico in December, spending the new year. I was here in 1989, 1990, New Year's Eve. We celebrated here like on the 6th, which is Three Kings Day. We were in a hotel here in Mayagüez. where I was in the pool, and I overheard these people arguing, and I thought it was a fight because when Puerto Ricans and Italians, when we argue, we get vocal and we use our hands a lot, and so
You gotta remind me. I know.
so basically I got out of the pool and I told a friend of mine who was the one that escorted us, my wife, my kids, and I to the pool. I said, yo, what's the argument about? He said, oh, they're not arguing, they're just excited about what just happened. I said, what happened? He says the Baseball Writers Association vote just came down, and everybody here thought that Ruben Sierra was going to be the American League Most Valuable Player, and they did not. He got it. They selected Robin Yount. And to me, in 1990, there was no smartphones, no ESPN, no internet, no none of that. So I'm a Yankee fan, bro. I lived 2 blocks from Yankee Stadium all my life. Uh, Basically, not more than walking distance throughout 67 years I've been in the South Bronx. So my family, if you cut our veins, we bleed blue. We don't bleed red. So that's how much of a Yankee fan we are. So I told them, listen, I'm sorry. Who's Ruben Sierra? And they made me feel stupid. They said, you Puerto Rican? You don't know who Ruben Sierra is? And I said, no, I'm sorry. I mean, I live across the street from basically Yankee Stadium. I know about the Yankees. I know a little bit about the Mets, but who's Ruben Sierra? And when they told me about him being his 3rd year in the majors, out of the 7 offensive categories, he was leading in 5. Some publications in the United States, sports publications, in their editorials had already alluded to the fact that Ruben Sierra will probably be winning the American League Most Valuable Player. So here in Puerto Rico, they were very excited to know that this guy was going to, possibly be the winner. So when they didn't select him and they selected Robin Yount, these people who were all, unbeknown to me, sports writers. They were having a meeting at that hotel, a luncheon, and there was about 12 of them, and they were having a meeting. So I happened to be involved in listening to them, and I said, and when they told me about Ruben Sierra, I said, that's wrong. I said, he should definitely be awarded something because that could be a role model. At that time, I had just finished teaching. I was a social studies teacher in the South Bronx. And I always noticed that Puerto Rican kids didn't have role models. I mean, the only role models that we had in our community were guys who were selling drugs, who had gold in their teeth, who had gold chains thicker than, freaking ropes around their necks, driving BMWs with $1,000 rim cars. And I got a master's degree and I got a putt, and that infuriated me that here goes a Puerto Rican who happens to be black, who happens to come from the projects in Puerto Rico, who happens to have a family member who's a dope fiend. And I said, shit, I know a lot of people who can relate to that where I live. We all have a dope fiend in our family. We know somebody who's a dope fiend. We know people who live in the projects, and we know about being brown skin or black. And I said, and the fact that
this basically, and the Wiz knows this is now more because he's now with Latino Sports. He's co-editor of the website latinosports.com with me. I've been with you, 22 years now, Leo, writing for this website and being involved with Latino Sports. I see it, and I see how this has grown, how the message has been relayed, and this applies not only to the Carlos Beltran story today, but for Latino sports and all athletes of Latino descent, and the message. And it's expanded now to that MVP award that we so proudly honor, that we distribute to the players every year. The writers and broadcasters of the Latino Sports Writers and Broadcast Association vote on it. And Wiz is very much a part of this now, putting the ballot together. And Wiz and I got to experience it in September. Just a few months ago, the end of the baseball season. We went out to Cincinnati and gave that award to Gutierrez, Rookie of the Year NL pitcher. And we saw it firsthand on the field more of what that award means and what this MVP award means. We got some images up, Wiz. We have images up? Avery, if you got those images, we can put them up.
We have some nice photos of Julio with Juan Soto and Vladimir Guerrero, I believe. There we go.
There it is, yeah. And Julio, again, the players, they really appreciate this award. To them, as they say, is their Latin Grammy.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, when, 1990, giving that award when I told these people that I felt it was wrong that he was not going to get an award. So I just came up with the idea, hey, since all the teams have to come to New York, National and American League, I didn't think in anywhere in my mind that this was going to become a company, that this was going to become a very prestigious award. I just felt that this guy who's black, Puerto Rican, who has a lot of the things that we can relate to, and my kids who were in my 7th grade class can relate to. I said, that's why I'm giving it. So I wound up meeting Ruben Sierra because they took me to their radio program. I spoke about it, and they told me, "How are you going to do this? Give this guy an award?" I said, "Well, in Yankee Stadium, I don't know if you remember, Rich. In the old stadium, the players would come and the buses would come at the parking lot, and then they had to walk in the back of the stadium. So they would put police barricades. So as a child growing up around Yankee Stadium, when I couldn't afford to go to the games, we always were in the handball courts. And when there was a Yankee game, we came out and we just stood by the police barricades, and we saw Mickey Mantle, we saw Tom Tresh, we saw Bobby Richardson. We saw, all these guys walking in. And it was like a treat for us because it was so close. Not like now, unfortunately, that you have to pay a lot of money just to sit in the box seat because you can't even see them outside because they got their own parking. And Yankee Stadium, they're going through a tunnel. So those days were good. And as a result of that, I was able to say, hey, when he comes off that bus, he has to walk into the stadium. So when he comes out, I'm going to be there with some kids and we're going to give him a plaque saying that he is a valuable player. And I came up with the name Latino Sports. In the 1990s, Latino was not used. So you guys can know that for a fact. In the 1990s, the word that was used to describe us was Hispanic. I never liked the word Hispanic because I could not understand where did the Hispanic come from. So I always liked the word Latino because it relates to Latin America. So I felt I always liked the word Latino. So when they told me what's the name of the plaque that I wanted to inscribe, I came up with the word Latino MVP. And that's how we did it. And it was Latino
and you've got
MVP.
some great cooperation now with Major League Baseball and assisting with distributing this award.
Yeah, it was a surprise.
How many
Wiz
is he? What do we got? Six awards.
8. How many Wiz? We have a total of 8, 4 for each league, American and National.
And the artist who produced that put the entire portrait together. Let's give them credit. They do such a great job.
Yeah,
over the
that
years.
was James Fiorentino is the main artist who approached us and said to us that he wanted to get and know more of the Latin baseball players. He was an incredible artist, and I asked him, well, how about if you can do a portrait of them? And he thought, hey, no problem. And as a result, he's gotten a great rapport. He told me the other when we gave the one in Yankee Stadium with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And he was there with his wife and his 2 kids, and just standing on the field and having his kid there, he came to me and he whispered in my ear, he said, Julio, this is priceless. I charge a lot. He says, I charge a lot for these portraits, but you know what? I don't mind doing this for this award because you can't put a price on this. This is priceless.
No.
The fact that Vladimir Guerrero walked up to him and signed for his kids right there, the fact that they were able to take pictures with him, the fact that I have pictures with him, with Miguel Cabrera, with you name it, So we switched from giving out plaques and trophies to giving out paintings. And the other paintings that we give are the sketches that are made, the caricatures, which the first one that was doing that with us was John Panisi, and I got to give him a lot of credit. So if anybody knows John who's listening to this, please give him my love and my regards, because I know John has been sick and he couldn't do the sketches the way he used to.
Yeah, we
and
wish
then
him
we got
well.
a great pinch hitter came in, Maz, he came in as a pinch hitter and he knocked it off the ball field as well, because he's doing some great pieces. In fact, that 3-minute video presentation that we did, it ends with the one
currently
that you guys
out
gave.
on.
That's
a great job on YouTube. That's a great job on YouTube. And in there, you see Albert Pujols, who just recently retired, member of the 700 home run now. And Albert Pujols has always said to you and I, Julio, that he has no more room for the portrait in his den.
Yeah, he won it like what,
He's a
8
record.
times?
I
Yeah,
believe
Yeah,
8
eight
times.
time.
8
Yeah,
times. You
yeah.
know, him and Mariano
He
Rivera.
deserved it. Yeah.
Mariano had won it year after year in the American League for the best closer.
he completely dominated, and
He dominated, and he told me.
It's funny you brought up so many legends: Mariano Rivera, Albert Pujols, Miguel Cabrera. So you have to narrow it down to one. Name one of the awards and name the reaction that was your favorite, your most memorable from all the players.
Oh my God, it's so difficult, man. Because, for example, when giving these awards out, we had no support, so I had to go through, like jump over hurdles to be able to get to the player. Because one of the most important things about this award is, if you think about it, is that it's been nonstop for 33 years. That's the thing. It's nonstop, including during COVID. It was nonstop. That's the highlight of giving these awards. And there were times when it was just myself going to putting out my pocket, getting a plaque, and trying to sneak myself close to the stadium where I had no credentials, that I can talk to someone to let me go down to where people can get autographs during batting practice, and then get one of the guards to get the player, like what we did with Bobby Bonilla. We didn't have, I had my 14-year-old son, right, to take a basic camera to be where the fans are at by the dugout during batting practice. And I was able to get on the field, and I was able to get Bobby Bonilla to come out and get him close to where my son was, so my son could take a picture with him. Because we didn't have, like guys like you guys back then, we didn't have, the credentials to be able to get all these people in. That to me was, amazing. My son and I, we talk about that and we laugh. But one of the things
Bobby Bonilla was not easy to get to. Not very, very difficult to get access to Bobby. I remember years ago.
You would go to I would try to get the player. They were trying to send me to their agents. I would call the teams, and they would try to send me to, the players' agents. They never responded to any of the letters that I sent. So it was very difficult. But there's two things that I'll never forget. One of them was when the Cleveland Indians, for Carlos Baerga, the Cleveland Indians actually called me, and they said to me that he's going to be at such and such a hotel, that I can go talk to him. They arranged it. That to me was like, that was the fourth award, I believe. Mm-hmm. The other one that got my attention was the Boston Red Sox. When one of the hottest pitchers in the league, Pedro Martinez, gets traded to Boston from Montreal, right? And he was at his height. And we were giving him an award because, he was at his height. And we were told there was no way that we're going to be bringing him out to the, that we can get access to him or bring him to the South Bronx. And I wrote a letter to them, and to their credit, I got a call, and they said that they checked our background. They asked MLB or the Yankees, I forgot who it was, and that they gave them a very good feedback about who Latino sports was. And they told me over the phone, we can have him go, but he can't be there more than 15 minutes. He had to go to a restaurant on Webster Avenue, a restaurant on Webster Avenue, and near the Cross Bronx Expressway.
I've come a long way.
Yes.
Latino sports has come a long way. It's unbelievable, because now every team in Major League Baseball, with Major League Baseball in general, in the commissioner's office, and all the public relations directors of the teams recognize this award and the player. And that's great tribute to you.
I don't know if
Julio,
all the teams do, Rich. I don't know if all the teams do, but I do know.
Well, they know about it. I can tell you for a fact that they know about it. Just through my travels during the baseball season.
I would like to believe that. I know that the 8 teams that we visited, they did not get my letter. They got it from MLB. That's why they did.
They know now because you had a great 2022. They know now.
And they
leave me with this, and I'm because we're running out of time. I want to put this graph up, and I want your comment on that. Wiz, let's talk about this. Building your all-star Latino infield. Take a look at that, Julio. Can you see that?
Let me see if I can open up. Yes.
Yeah, there's Carlos Delgado right there.
Yes.
It's in a category at first base. Who do you like there? He's a great bunch of names. Luis Aparicio.
Well, listen, I mean,
Right?
you got to say, I mean, there's no question about it between Yadi and Pudge Rodriguez as catchers. I mean, there's no contest there. Any one of those two, definitely Pudge, definitely maybe a little bit ahead. Definitely first base, Pujols,
Oh, you got
Delgado,
Pujols there, and you got Altuve at second, and there's
Good
Manny
debate.
Machado, and there's a guy on this list there, third base, who's going to be eligible for the Hall of Fame next year, Adrian Beltre, who you know real well.
Oh, absolutely, Beltre, he's good. This guy Renato, man, he's no joke. And Machado, what can you say about Machado? He might be a Met in 2024, right?
He might, with all the money Steve Cohn has. Yeah.
Yeah.
And on that list too, besides Carlos Correa, which is another story, but Tony Perez.
Yes.
You got a lot of former Latino MVPs on there.
Oh, hell yeah! I can see them all through here, man.
I was gonna say at least 10 to 15.
Yes, Altuve, he's definitely there. Alomar is definitely there. Miggy for sure. Pujols, Delgado, Yadi, Posada, Pudge.
Great array of players, and of course, we're going to leave you with this, Julio. A-Rod, who I don't look as an all-star with the PEDs, and that's why he's not a Hall of Famer and never will be, for sure. Leave you with this, Julio, but the statistic as of last season was over 65% Major League Baseball team rosters of Major League Baseball players overall, over 65% Latino. And that is incredible when I saw that stat. Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting because I know that we've been increasing the numbers here and there. I know that I never thought they got to that amount. I mean, I know that they were very high, but not
unless I'm wrong. That's what I had read. Wiz, I read that. I picked that up. He's a Twitter monkey. He'll get that as quick as me, but I got that.
And it's funny. Me and Julio mentioned it before previously at Yankee Stadium multiple times. We talk about which team has the most Latinos, and me and him brought it up back in June. We said the Houston Astros, and look who rises on the top at the end: the Houston Astros with the most Latino players.
Yes, and remember when we were giving out the
Puerto
awards,
Rico,
Tampa Bay
I think
played 9
Puerto
players,
Rico, Venezuela,
all Latino.
Yes,
and
I remember
it's
that.
Venezuela on top, Puerto Rico second, and I think the Dominican Republic and Dominican ball players are rising up the ladder pretty quick because they got baseball factories all over that island there. And Julio Porbon, president and founder of Latino Sports Ventures. The website we write for, we proudly write for them as co-editors the Wiz, Robert Rizzo, myself, LatinoSports.com.
Right there.
We're gonna have you on more often. This was thanks for giving us great insights about Carlos Beltran there on the Only Reaction right now, not getting in the Hall of Fame first year tonight. How do they reach you, Julio, at the website?
Yeah, just go through the website latinosports.com, and also I'm on Facebook as a person. I answer all my Facebook stuff. Julio Pavon, I'm just there. I'm a people person, so I reach out to anybody who reaches out.
I know you are. That's how I met you. 22 years ago at the ballpark. That's how I got started and all this. It's like yesterday. I'll never forget it. Wiz was sitting in the auxiliary press area at Yankee Stadium for Miami Marlins, New York Yankees, I think World Series back in 19. I know. Look, I've been there. I've been with him for 22 years, and that's how it all started. And then, of course, I got involved, and it just grew and grew every year. I'm the senior writer and now co-editor with you. It's LatinoSports.com, Latino Sports. Julio, we'll be talking Thursday. I know that, and enjoy the good weather there.
Sure.
And
And just
And
remember,
thanks again.
2023, you don't have to be Latino to visit latinosports.com.
That's for sure. We have
Exactly.
some good writers, and most of them are not Latino. That's
That's right.
that's what the
Thank
thing
you so
about it.
much, Julio.
Take care. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. You're doing a great job. God bless you. I'll talk to you guys on Thursday.
Thank
Appreciate
you,
it.
Julio Bourbon. Wiz, we talked to the boss. We got him on the air like we said we did. Great insights. Julio Bourbon, LatinoSports.com, the website we'd write for. He's the founder and president, Latino Sports Ventures. All right, Wiz, we're going to take a quick break again. Keep It in the Ring is up next. And don't forget that Sports with Rich, live here on the SLG Network. Like, comment, and subscribe on the network and my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Sponsored by Skull Energy, Skull Fuel Energy. Get recognized, look for the Skull, drink and enjoy. And there's the right phone number. I believe we changed the area code. Should be 475. Avery, I hope you can make attention to that. 475-264-6091. Need to get energized. Look for that Skull Fuel Energy. All right. Quick break. Here's Avery with another quick update. And then we'll come back with Keep It in the Ring. Ray and I and Wiz will talk pro wrestling. I got the boxing and so forth. Sports with Rich back on the other side. Here's Avery.
All right, guys, how's it going? We'll have part 2 here of the sports update. Rich, I hope I got it right now with the 475 number. Hopefully we'll get that all straightened care of. All right, starting back to the NBA. The Pacers have caught up with the Bulls. They now only trail by 3 with 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Score is on 94-91 Chicago. Halfway through the third quarter, the Celtics are leading the Miami Heat by 7. It's by a score of 69-62. 5 minutes left in the third for the Cavaliers-Knicks game. The Cavaliers are now leading the Knicks 67-61. The Nuggets-Pelicans, Denver is leading 63-47 at half. And then the Wizards-Mavericks game, which tipped off while we were going here. End of the first quarter, Washington leads Dallas by a score of 32-28. Move over to the ice now. We'll move to our NHL sheet. The Sharks and the Red Wings are still tied, but it's 2-2 now. 15 left in the third period. Bruins and Montreal Canadiens are still knotted at 1. Just started the third period. The Bruins are currently on a power play. 17 minutes left to go in the third period between the Los Angeles Kings and the Philadelphia Flyers. They're knotted at 3. Also, with 15 minutes left in the third period, the Florida Panthers lead the Pittsburgh Penguins by a score of 5-4. End of the second period between the Minnesota Wild and the Tampa Bay Lightning. They are knotted at 2. Minute left to go in the second period between the Golden Knights and the New Jersey Devils. Vegas currently leads 2-1, and they are currently on a power play. 15 minutes left in the second period for the Buffalo Sabres and the St. Louis Blues. The Sabres lead that by a score of 4-1. Halfway through the first period, just about 14 minutes left between the Winnipeg Jets and the Nashville Predators. The Jets lead that 1-0. Moving over to college hoops. Just out of half here, we have the Sooners and the Horned Frogs. The Horned Frogs lead by a score of 44-27. 90 seconds gone in the first half for Georgia Tech and Clemson. Clemson currently leads that one 10-0. Another 90 seconds into the first period here. We have Kansas State versus Iowa State. That's a top 15 matchup. Kansas State is currently up 2-1, low scoring game. 4 minutes gone in the first half for Oklahoma State versus Texas. They are knotted at 6. 4 minutes gone in the first half. All right, that has been we'll call it the second part. Halfway through the show here, just about sports update brought to you by Skull Fuel Energy. We'll bring Robert and Rich back in, and they will continue on for tonight with Keep It in the Ring.
Thank you, Avery. Great job with the update. And let me explain something here at Sports with Rich live on the SLG Network. Like, comment, and subscribe. My YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso, and here on the network. Thanks for the sponsor, Skull Fuel Energy. Get energized. Look for that skull. I got to explain this briefly before we get into Keep It in the Ring. You notice if you follow the show every week, we have a little change in the format due to YouTube procedures. We're working things out. That's why you don't see that opening with me and the Wiz, and that's going to be changed. And also why we don't have the usual popcorn commercial and anything else. And because there are procedures you have to follow, and we're following that here on the SLG Network through YouTube and other social media platforms that we're on. So we're going to get back to normal soon. We're reorganizing, and the great guys behind the scenes at the SLG Network are doing that with. We want to let everyone know that. So a little different. We'll give you updates in between, and we continue, right?
There we go. Keep it in the ring time.
That's what it is. Keep it in the ring. Let's go. My favorite part of the program, of course, it's boxing and the pro wrestling. And it is a low in the boxing season. Not major things, no really major fights happening. Though this weekend we'll see ESPN Plus with a light heavyweight title that has implications with Bertru and Yardy. That's on ESPN Plus. That's the only major fight on the calendar this coming week. Promoters are getting them together. Some of the fights are being announced, but this past weekend, the middleweights, this was an upset. And didn't expect this to happen, though you can't say that to the former champ, Leon Smith. Chris Eubanks Jr. lost fourth round. He got pounded with punches in that fourth round. So there goes that Eubanks fight with Nigel Benn Jr., the two second-generation fighters that were supposed to happen. Got canceled last year. It's supposed to happen this year. It's not going to happen right now because Leon Smith spoiled the fun with a fourth round knockout on the zone this past weekend. Any comments about that, Wiz?
That was a big upset. I saw it over Twitter. The highlights were going crazy on Saturday night, honestly. Everyone was expecting Eubank to come out with the win to begin with, but in the third round starting, in the third round, he started to struggle and just his opponent got the best of him, and Eubank, you saw it with that picture. His eye was dusted at the end.
Yeah, he admitted, Eubanks, that he wasn't at his best. Boy, and he came into that fight very confident that he'd win it. And the two of them had some words and all of that stuff. But Smith was the better fighter. That's how it goes at Saturday night. And that was in London at the AO Arena. Now, you knew this was going to happen. Another fight cancellation. And Josh Taylor seems to be a part of that, the former champion at 140. And he's got a torn plantar on his foot, which means he has a bad foot. Can't fight March 4th against junior welterweight title rematch with Jake Catrello. That fight's off. Taylor won their first fight, controversial split decision last year, and won the titles, then gave up some of the titles. What a mess. But Josh Taylor's not fighting again. Cantrell. What else is new? That's boxing. So many of these things happen time and time again. Why I tell boxing fans all the time, love the sport as much as I do, but don't make plans to go to a fight out of town, because these are the things that happen.
Definitely. These are the things that happen. And honestly, this is one of these unfortunate aspects in boxing. It was an injury, and 6 to 8 week injury, I believe, on the foot. So there's no way he can fight going into it. And it wasn't a business side of it. It wasn't a money side of it. If it was, I'd be more angry about the March 4th fight getting
unfortunate
canceled.
Injury.
Unfortunate injury. That happens in any sport. Any sport. Name them down the line. You want your best players playing at the right time, at the most pinnacle time of the postseason. And unfortunate, those injuries happen in any sport, not just boxing.
We're going to get ready April 1st. Bergen County Fight Night 3. We're coming back to Paramus, New Jersey at the Venetian, April 1st, the Bella Boxing Promotions. Wiz, you ready for the first of a few shows this year with a Bella Boxing again?
Definitely ready. Action-packed show coming at you April 1st at the Terrace in Paramus. Our first show was a huge success at the Terrace. Please go out, buy tickets, catch your boy Rich Mancuso on the broadcast along with Anthony Johnson. That's a great call as always with Richard Pearson.
Well, that's not the
who we had.
highlight. And it hasn't really been officially put on the docket to schedule yet, but it will be in the next few days, according to the promoter, Scott Abella. But April 1st, it should be a nice night again. Yeah, the TV on the BNG network, pay-per-view at a low price. But I'm looking forward to Nicky the Bull Vantone being a highlight fight again of the night. He's in the main event from what I understand. Nicky's a good supporter of our program, so you're sure going to see him here soon. And David Benavidez and Khalid Plant have signed at 168, March 25th, MGM Grand Vegas, Showtime pay-per-view. The question is Canelo Alvarez next for the winner? If so, Plant will have a rematch maybe at 168. If that Canelo doesn't fight Bivol again at 168 or 175, light heavyweight, or does Benavidez finally get his long-awaited opportunity to me the best puncher in that division and get Canelo Alvarez?
Ooh, that's a big question, big task right there, and the timeline has to fit all because Canelo is still recovering from that wrist injury, from what I believe. But like we see in any fight, you got to win the fight before the main fight. So Benavidez has to take care of business, get past this, and then hopefully get to Canelo, and that's what the boxing fans want.
And Benavidez wants it. So we'll see where this goes. And at 168 in the division, Edgar Berlanga, who had that 16 streak knockout record to start his career, ESPN top rank built it up. Well, that's no more. Berlanga lost, didn't lose, but didn't look good in his last few fights. But whatever it is, it was a difference with top rank, maybe over the contract. Berlanga is now a free agent, no longer with top rank. We wish him luck. But I'm telling you right now, from what I'm hearing from people I know at Matchroom Boxing and with the PBC, Showtime Fox, that Berlanga is a hot property for them, and they'll probably sign with one of them soon.
Definitely. He's one of the most hot commodity names out there. Anytime he's selling out a show, he's the pay-per-view numbers on a show or streaming anything. With Berlanga, the Towering Inferno, you have to watch, so he's going to make some money whatever promotion company he signs with. April
15th, the contract has been delivered, not signed yet. It's not official still. Ryan Garcia, Gervonta Davis, I believe they'll fight at 135. They might fight at 140. I think 135 is going to be the weight. They got the contracts. De La Hoya received it, but they haven't been signed, sealed, and delivered yet, so we wait for that official word. I know that's a fight you want to see, and just the whole boxing world on April 15th.
Yeah, that's the main fight everyone's been waiting for, not even since last July, since last January, honestly. People have had that fight slated, booked, but honestly, what is it, 4 or 5 cancellations now, the delays, so just a matter on it getting official. Let's see, April 15th, everyone's talking about it.
And this UFC note, this past weekend, surprisingly, Glover Teixeira lost. Heavyweight, Jamal Hill won. Teixeira has had the most submissions in UFC history, and there he is. Announced his retirement afterwards after a 21-year pro career. Wiz, I don't know much about him because I'm not a UFC nut. I'm not an advocate. I just don't follow it like you do. But I know you knew Teixeira's background a little better than me.
Yeah, Teixeira was one of the most iconic fighters to begin the UFC, and it's honestly been, a 20-year span for UFC. This is the beginning of UFC overall when you compare it to professional sports leagues. But Teixeira, he's going to be remembered year in and year out. 33-9 overall with his record, 13-3, 10-1 submissions, and 18-3 with knockouts. So the guy just does it all. It wasn't just knocking guys out, the submissions along with the takedowns. He had it all.
He lost his last fight, retired, left his title belt or whatever he had in the middle of the ring. That's how the whole world knew that it was over on Saturday night. Congratulations on a great career to him, and good luck. And now let's get to the pro wrestling part of Keep It in the Ring, sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Get all your energy needs, get energized. And let's keep it in the ring now. Bring our buddy Ray in. Back to talk some pro wrestling for the next 10 minutes or less. Is Ray there in the queue ready to go? Let's bring him in because awful lot of pro wrestling to talk about. Here he is. I welcome Ray back. Hey, Ray, keep it in the ring. Welcome, my friend.
Hey, thanks for having me as always, guys. How's everybody doing?
I'm recovering from a bad eye that had over the weekend. So last night I really couldn't see as much as I wanted to Monday Night Raw because of a bad eye that's getting better. But
That's good.
I was able to hear a lot of it too. And I could tell you that Monday Night Raw last night, the 30th anniversary, a lot went on that. A lot of controversy too on some of the things that happened. But what stood out the most, before we talk about the Royal Rumble coming up this Saturday night at the Alamo in San Antonio, I will never forget this moment. And I don't have a picture of it up, an image. We don't put it up. We'll talk about it. The Undertaker handing over the reins to Bray Wyatt. Is what's his name? LA Knight got Sister Abigail. That was quite a moment on Monday Night Raw last night, Ray.
It was. It's always fun to see the American Badass version of The Undertaker. It's a character that he didn't have for a long time, but everybody really flocked to that big evil, that American Badass version of himself, because it was something new. It was something different that we'd never seen from him before when he did debut it after a lengthy injury layoff. Here's my take on it, and you can hear more of it this Friday on Off the Top Rope. That doesn't hold as much weight to me as it would if it was the actual dead man giving.
Well, there's the image. I'm glad it came up. Good job, Avery. Thanks.
If it were the actual dead man giving that little passing of the torch, because you have Bray Wyatt, who is supposed to be a supernatural force, and then you have the American Badass version of The Undertaker whispering something in his ear. I got the premise of it. It just, to me, it kind of fell a little flat. Does not mean that I didn't enjoy it. If it were the dead man, I think it would have carried more weight.
Well, I already thought the torch was passed when The Undertaker retired last year, but I still, that was a poignant moment, a great moment, surreal moment to me too. I enjoyed seeing that. Wiz, jump in any time. I know his wrestling enthusiasm isn't like ours, but I know he'll jump in. He's got to jump in, or we're going to get him in the Royal Rumble Sunday, Saturday. That's all.
There we go.
Last night's anniversary show of 30 years brought back a lot of memories with the legends.
Yep.
I love seeing IRS there in the back in the poker game, and the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and also things developing out of the show last night leading up to the Royal Rumble. What do you make of Bobby Lashley Hurt Business right now? Is he back with the Hurt Business? Is it happening?
I don't know. I think what you're going to start seeing is this is where the Hurt Business, I believe, is going to start to come full circle and fully get rejoined with the way that Raw ended last night with Brock Lesnar attacking Bobby. He F5s Bobby in a no disqualification match, lays Bobby out, takes Austin Theory, F5s him on top of Lashley, so Theory gets the win. He did his damage to Bobby and he leaves. I think what you're going to see is MVP again approach Lashley, and now the numbers game is going to start getting stacked in Bobby's favor.
Going into Sunday,
Wiz, again. I want to hear a wrestling question from you. Go ahead.
Going into Sunday, what do you expect your biggest upset, your biggest surprise, your biggest takeaway will be? Obviously,
it's actually Saturday. Let's put that up. Saturday night, Wiz. If they do their events, some big events like this, it's going to be a good crowd there at the Alamo Dome. Again, Wiz, I was going to ask him that.
Yeah. So what will be the biggest upset, biggest surprise? Obviously, the event is the Royal Rumble, but the other matches out there, what's going to be the biggest surprise?
I think you're going to see some. Don't be surprised if you see some entrants that aren't signed to WWE. For example, last year we had Mickie James. Don't be surprised if you actually see Nick Aldis who is currently not under contract
Ah.
with anybody, but is technically a free agent. Don't be surprised if you see him enter the Royal Rumble. Maybe you see a little stare
And
off
what about-
between him and Cody.
Yeah. What about Brock Lesnar? He shows up unexpectedly last night. They kept that shot a surprise.
Well, so I haven't heard anything about a Bobby Brock match in the works. So if we continue to not hear anything, if they continue to stay silent on that, look for a big face-to-face in the Rumble match itself.
Well, they're talking about, there's a lot of talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin and Lesnar, right? Isn't that what I heard this morning?
Well, no,
WrestleMania?
the talk surrounding Austin was supposed to be Roman Reigns. There was a hefty
Reigns.
financial offer, but for Austin to have a match against Roman.
I wonder if that's going to happen. And I wonder if The Rock, who I thought might have showed up last night. You know, a lot of legends in show weren't there at the 30th anniversary, the part of Raw, including The Rock.
Yeah, a lot of
you didn't see the Bella twins; they weren't there.
No Trish, no Lita.
Yeah, I mean, you did see a lot of them, but what is the latest with The Rock now? What I'm getting and what I'm reading is what you're reading. What I'm hearing is maybe what you're hearing. That this might be like a decoy, because they're saying he's not going to be available, he's not ready. But I still feel The Rock's going to be part of WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, whether Reigns has the straps or not, both belts.
So, well, first off, in regards to Roman having the straps, Roman versus Rock doesn't need the straps. All it needs is the bloodline. That is what the whole story can be based off of. It doesn't need the championships. So if he has them, he has them. If he doesn't, he doesn't. I would prefer, if they're going to do Roman versus Rock, that he not have the straps, because no part-timer should have championship titles. Now, in regards to The Rock's availability, we covered a little, Calvin and I covered this a little bit on Off the Top Rope this past Friday, where professional wrestling is literally the only industry in which you have to lie, right? You have to try to always keep people guessing. ABC, always be working.
Yeah, all the time. That's a part of pro wrestling. It's been for years.
Right. So I find it very difficult that somebody of The Rock's dedication, both to fitness and to the wrestling industry itself, is already saying, I can't make it to WrestleMania because I'm not going to be in ring shape. That just seems very odd to me.
It does.
But at the same time, he's in his 50s. So maybe he does need more time to get into ring shape, so he doesn't have
the injury
that he had last time.
They would have teased it last night during that coronation ceremony, whatever we were doing. It turned out to be a jury.
The trial of Sami Zayn.
Against the trial on Sami Zayn, which I thought ran too long, which scrapped the Becky Lynch match with Bayley that in the cage, which should have been a highlight of the show last night. I wonder if Vince McMahon had anything to do with that, because there's still a question: is he in control again, a creative, or is that all Triple H? I thought that DX reunion last night was good, too stupid at times, but overall good show. But I would love to see Wiz, do you want to see The Rock against Roman Reigns?
Yeah, why not? I'd love to see The Rock versus Roman Reigns. Anything with The Rock, honestly, people are going to tune in, watch. The non-WWE fan is going to tune in and zone in on that, even if there's a sporting event going on that same time.
Absolutely.
Because that's a two-night spectacle in Los Angeles. It's at SoFi Stadium. So I would think The Rock is going to do it. And if not, at least show his face.
And here's the thing.
Let's move on, Ray. Let's move on. Who is your winner for the men's part of the Royal Rumble on Sunday? This is my favorite event on the WWE calendar every year. I love the Royal Rumble, even leading to WrestleMania season. But who do you like? Is it Cody that wins it? And out of the women, is it going to be Becky? Is it or a surprise? Give me your winners in the men's Royal Rumble and the 30 women Royal Rumble.
All right. So realistically, it's probably going to be Cody, right? However, I would love for it to be Sammy, especially the way that story has progressed in the last few weeks alone. I think Sami Zayn accidentally winning the Rumble is fantastic. It is fantastic business. And then you have Cody maybe win the Elimination Chamber, so he can challenge for the other title,
before WrestleMania. That makes sense. That sounds good, unless Vince McMahon gets involved and changes everything, and we hope not. By the way, no word on the impending sale. They say Vince is in the office, just overseeing, listening, giving suggestions. I can't buy that. I said that on the program last week. And does Reigns lose that title to Kevin Owens on Saturday night?
As much as I would like to say yes, it's probably going to be a no.
Okay. Let's
You're
move over
probably
to
going to want
AEW.
Roman Reigns going into WrestleMania looking as strong as possible.
You have an interesting note of AEW, and you sent me this note prior to coming on the air tonight, because the Evolution pay-per-view is coming up. Brian Cage, Danielson tomorrow. MJF's way to get to MJF for the title of Evolution in the next pay-per-view in March. On Dynamite tomorrow night, it's going to be Brian Cage, Danielson. But you had a note about something came up with Tony Schiavone. Tell us briefly what that was all about.
Yeah, so recently on the most recent episode of What Happened When, which is Tony Schiavone's podcast that he has with the Podfather himself, one Conrad Thompson, Tony went on to say this in regards to Tony Khan and Jay Briscoe. And this is an actual direct quote. "I don't mean to betray any confidences, but let me say this. There's been rumor and innuendo from really good sources that Tony Khan is who we thought he was, and he's doing the right thing with the Briscoe family. I don't think that he would necessarily want anybody to know that, and I know it's not my place to talk about it. But I will say that for all the criticism that gets thrown at Tony Khan, when the chips are down, he's that dude, man." And of course, Tony Schiavone is referencing the horrific tragedy of the death of Jay Briscoe that happened last week, very unfortunately. And it seems that Tony Khan, through the rumor and innuendo that Tony Schiavone has heard, who's a very trusted source backstage at AEW, is going to be taking care of the Briscoe family. And I believe kicking off Dynamite tomorrow is going to be Mark Briscoe versus Jay Lethal. It's a memorial match in memory of Jay Briscoe.
That'd be interesting. Watch tomorrow night on AEW Dynamite, 8 p.m. Eastern on TBS. Leave me with this, Ray. Royal Rumble, and Wiz, you can take a shot at this as well. The wrestlers with the most appearances in the Royal Rumble in their history.
I'm going with...
they come up with these statistics. It's unbelievable. WWE and whatever, once he's out, just like any other sport, or this is sports entertainment. But
absolutely.
They won the wrestlers with the most appearances in the Royal Rumble.
I'm going with Kane.
Yeah, very good.
You're the guru.
Fact of the week.
Was that the actual answer?
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I'm telling you, you're the wrestling guru.
Yeah, and if it was a fact of the week, I would have sent you a bobblehead, but it's not. Sorry.
Shucks.
Yeah, maybe I will. I have a wrestling collection here I got to get rid of, too. Kane had 20 appearances, and it's an impressive list. Ziegler follows Kobe Kingston, and Randy Orton had 14. And the Miz and Rey Mysterio had 13. And on the bottom of the list was like a Billy Gunn, Bob Holly, Cesaro, who's now in AEW. Booker T. And I'm going to send this to you, Ray. This was really interesting because it also gives you perspectives of how many times their stats and records and how many searches on social media for the Royal Rumble. It's fantastic. I got to email that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know about that, and you can add that for your show.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? I love
Ray, where did they catch you? Where do the fans hear you again? Where do they catch you?
The fans can hear myself and Calvin Friday on the SLG Network YouTube page, youtube.com/the SLG Network. While you're there, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can be notified when we go live on Saturday for the Royal Rumble watch along. We will not be showing the pay-per-view because obviously that's against the rules. We will be doing live reacts to it. Wiz Championship Sunday is on Sunday. Royal Rumble's on Saturday, man. You have an open invite.
Maybe if I'm out of work and I get everything straightened out, I will join you guys for the watch along.
Absolutely. And of course, Rich, you are always welcome if you're not
I'm going to try and make that. I'll be watching the show anyway, so I will. Ray, always a pleasure. Great insights as well. That's why you're our wrestling guru, not me, as much as I've been in the industry and love talking pro wrestling. I keep it in the ring. Talk to you next week, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me, guys. You have a good rest of your show and have a good rest of the night.
You too.
Thank you, Ray. Keep it in the ring to you. As always, great having him, Wiz. And we're going to go to another brief update with Calvin, sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. Get your energy needs. Come back after the break on the other side. And, of course, it's going to be Nobody Beat the Wiz, some MLB and stuff with the NBA as well. Sports with Rich, live on the SLG Network. Back after this brief timeout. Here's Avery.
All right, guys, here we go. Our final sports update for the evening. We'll start off with the NBA scores. Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat are all tied at 87 with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. The New York Knicks are now leading the Cleveland Cavaliers by a score of 95-93 with 5 minutes left to go in the game. The Denver Nuggets are running away with this one over the New Orleans Pelicans. They lead 14 by a score of 79-65 with 4 minutes left to go in the third quarter. The Washington Wizards and the Dallas Mavericks are knotted at 60, just about to go into half. 37 seconds left in the first half of that one. And the Phoenix Suns are racking it up on the Charlotte Hornets. They lead 36-15 with 11 minutes to go in the second quarter. Moving over to hockey, these games should be finishing up soon. San Jose Sharks and the Detroit Red Wings are headed into overtime or the extra period. They are currently tied at 2. With 3 minutes left to go in the game, the Boston Bruins lead the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 3-2. With 2 minutes left to go in the final period, the Los Angeles Kings and the Philadelphia Flyers are tied at 3. Also, another overtime game here. The Florida Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins are knotted at 6. The Minnesota Wild are now trailing the Tampa Bay Lightning. The Lightning are winning 3-2. 5 minutes left in that contest. Golden Knights still leading the Jersey Devils 2-1. 14 minutes left to go in that one. The Buffalo Sabres are leading the St. Louis Blues by a score of 4-2. End of the second period, the Winnipeg Jets and the Nashville Predators are knotted at 1. Winnipeg currently is in a power play going into the start of the third period. 4 minutes left in the first for this one. The Washington Capitals are trailing the Colorado Avalanche by a score of 1-0. 8 minutes left in the first period for this one. The Anaheim Ducks and the Arizona Coyotes are currently knotted at 0. And our final men's top 25 score update. With 10 minutes left to go in the second half, the TCU Horned Frogs lead the Oklahoma Sooners by a score of 63-34. With 6 minutes left to go in the first half, the Clemson Tigers are leading the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets by a score of 28-23. 7 minutes left in the first half between Kansas State and Iowa State. Narrow margin. Iowa State leads by 1. It is 23-22. And then with 5 minutes left in the first half, the Texas Longhorns are leading the Oklahoma State Cowboys 33-25. All right, so that has been your final update brought to you by Skull Fuel Energy. We will bring back Robert and Rich to finish up the night.
Well, actually, we are back. Here's the Wiz Robert Rizzo. I'm Rich Mancuso. Thanks for being with us live on the SLG Network as always on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'll say that again all the time. On the YouTube channel, SLG Network, my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Our social media handles at the bottom of the screen where you can reach us all week with your comments. Also in the cube tonight as well. Comment. Wiz, where do they reach you?
You can follow me on Twitter, RobertRizz994, Instagram, rrizzo4, Facebook, Robert Rizzo, and catch all my daily content on Latino sports.
And sponsored by Skull Fuel Energy. And again, I drank it before I came on the air tonight. There's the Skull. Look for that Skull. And because of that Skull and that energy drink, I have my energy because I had a bad day yesterday. You know that. Bad eye. Mm-hmm. And it's part of getting older. Retirement soon to come. I keep telling everyone. Let's talk Major League Baseball. Pitchers and catchers, 21, 22 days away. Opening day, believe it or not, I think it's 71 days away or less. It's unbelievable. Short off season as it is. The news is not that heavy, except the Hall of Fame vote tonight again. Carlos Beltran fell short, and Scott Roldan got in. Congratulations. But the Mets continued. They signed Tommy Pham, a versatile outfielder for their bench, switch hitter, maybe DH. 1 year, what was
1 year, $6 million.
That's a good move for the Mets. It was a good move for the Mets. So they're not done with. I think they're still going to get a guy for the bullpen, the left-hander. Maybe Zach Britton. His name keeps coming up. We'll see where that goes. But they're not done. And how about this trade? Luis Ariza, defending American League batting champion with the Twins, and the reigning champ, traded to Miami for Pablo Lopez. They got a ton of arms. That's the third time in the divisional era a reigning batting champ was traded during the offseason. And it happened 44 years ago with the Twins again when they did that with Rod Carew. That trade surprised me.
Yeah, it was a big surprise on both sides, Marlins and Twins. No one's expecting it, but honestly, Luis Arias going to Miami, Pablo Lopez going to Minnesota. It helps both sides. It gives a boost to both sides. Arias and the Marlins. Marlins needed a huge offensive boost going into 2023. On the other side, Minnesota had no pitching to begin with. I believe Sonny Gray is their second ace. Honestly, I'm blinking on their first ace, but Chris Paddock just got Tommy John surgery. They needed Pablo Lopez. So I like the trade overall. And going back to the Marlins with their offense, they didn't have one hitter over 300 batting average in 2022. Luis Arias is basically the best hitter on the team.
Now, and they were a young team with a good pitching staff, and I wouldn't count them out being a part of the National League East situation this coming season. And Grissom's moving to center field, I believe.
Chaz Chisholm's moving to center field. But honestly, right. In the National League East, it's the Braves, it's the Mets, and the Phillies. And the Nationals, Marlins, they're just playing 162 games. The way they spend money, way they go.
I disagree. Wiz, I think the Marlins are going to give these teams a fight because of their pitching. That's what I think.
The Marlins had the Cy Young last year and didn't put up a good fight.
Well, I think they got a piece in the lineup now with the Rizz that's going to help them offensively.
Definitely offensively. The pitching is the one thing in Miami. They hold up year by year. If the pitching can hold up along with Chaz Chisholm staying healthy, playing center field off the back injury last year, everything can go good in Miami. But along with Atlanta, Philadelphia, and the Mets in that division, it's going to be a tough task throughout 162.
And for those Yankee fans wondering, no movement. You're stuck with Aaron Hicks in left field with the big contract again. Donaldson the third with the contract. I don't hear any movement on the Yankees' part about getting a Reynolds from Pittsburgh or anything else right now. But be aware and keep tuned in because the offseason's still here. Spring training, even with a lot of the teams and a lot of guys at the World Baseball Classic, which we're going to cover extensively here on the program and on Latinosports.com, Wiz, the moves will still be made. It's not over, and the Yankees may still not go in with what they have now on opening day. So that to be determined. But let's go to the NBA right now for a moment, and let's take a look at Kyrie Irving and the Nets as as Kevin Durant still sits it out with an injury. And the Nets, even without Durant, they're winning their games.
Definitely. They're winning the games without Kevin Durant on the base of Kyrie Irving. The last 3 games, the Nets are 2-1. And in that span, Kyrie's averaging 38.7 points per game, 52% from the field shooting, along with 50% from 3. Kyrie Irving's doing it on the field, in the paint, over the 3-point arc. You name it, those numbers are there. They're 2-1 in the stretch, 4th in the East, I believe, 29-17. 5 games out of the first seed against the Bucks and the Celtics, but right now they're where they need to be. The 4th seed without Kevin Durant, and their next 3 are the Sixers, Pistons, and Knicks. So basically, I think they can go 2-1, perhaps 3-0 without Kevin Durant in that stretch.
Well, you talk about the Sixers, and the Sixers have won 18 of the last 22. So that the Knicks are going to have problems with those upcoming games. They are the inconsistent Knicks. That's what I call them. Very inconsistent. So Randall and Barrett score points, and they got Obi Toppin finally getting into games who had been injured. 14 points off the bench the other night. To me, Toppin's a major player on that team, a major part of that their offense could be to go along with Randall and Barrett and company.
Definitely, and you stated from the jump, inconsistency. That defines the Knicks so far. Their last 10 games, they're 5-5. They're currently on a 4-game losing streak, and in that stretch, they're allowing 116 points or more each game. So the defense, Tom Thibodeau, those Knicks you're known for, that defense, it's not showing up night in and night out. And when you think of the Knicks, it's a 3-man army. It's Jalen Brunson giving you 20, R.J. Barrett giving you 20, and Julius Randle giving you 20. If one of those guys don't show up, Knicks aren't winning that game. You look at the record; they're 25-23, basically 500. One guy doesn't show up out of those 3, it's a bad night for the Knicks.
The All-Star break for the NBA is coming up next month, a Dome Month in sports in February. We'll have an NBA expert on the program when it's around that time. How about the Denver Nuggets? They're also hot. They've won 9 of their last 10 out of the West. And then we got to talk about this with the Lakers. A comeback win over the Blazers the other night after being outscored in the third quarter, 45-13, which was incredible thanks to LeBron. The Lakers are holding their own, struggling still. And then you get this, which I can't stand. Shannon Sharp, he hosts that program on Fox, the NFL Hall of Famer, front row, occasion, the Lakers game, totally uncalled for, going after J.R. Morant's dad. Rizz, this is uncalled for, and it should not be.
Yeah, it was definitely uncalled for from the beginning. Just the stop of a game that's totally unprofessional. And for a TV guy to begin with, you work for Fox. It's just a bad look overall. And it happened this past Friday. Grizzlies, Lakers, I believe right before halftime.
Uncalled for.
Shannon Sharp and T. Morant, John Morant's dad, got into altercation after Shannon was calling out Steven Adams and Dylan Brooks.
And then they patched it up. They patched it up afterwards.
That was my main point. I wanted to get to it. The one thing is they patched it up. That's all fine, good and dandy. It's good on social media. But anyone, any celebrity, any guest with a ticket can do that. It's a bad example for the league, and NBA has to step up and figure that out, because that's not just the first time that happened. Many times we see drinks spilled throughout the arena, and that happens.
Too much.
But this immediate pause in the game, it's unprofessional on all sides, and it can't happen again, especially at a Lakers game.
I hold that thought, because Nobody Beats the Wiz is coming up right now on the program, and we're going to talk about that. It's good part of my Nobody Beats the Wiz. You beat me to it. Sponsored by Skull Energy, sponsored by the Skull. Don't forget the Skull. Get recognized. Look for the Skull. Drink and enjoy. Coffee line also coming up. Skull Energy Fuel. There's your number, 475-264-6091. Rizz, Nobody Beats the Wiz. Yes or no? He's the lion in the middle. Here we go. And that was my first question on the segment with Nobody Beats the Wiz this week. Your favorite part of the program. Celebrity. Former players at courtside, the altercation we just saw with Sterling Sharp at the Lakers game. Enough is enough. Do you ban them from sitting at courtside?
You can't ban them from sitting from courtside, because it's just going to look even worse for the NBA, banning a guy that talks and reports on the NBA 5 times a week on one of the biggest sports shows throughout the network, honestly, on Fox,
Well,
ESPN,
then
you name it.
he should have. Look, I don't agree with it. He should have a press credential and sit up in the press box
If that's the
or
case, he
courtside. Be a
can.
reporter. You're not a fan. He bought a ticket. Yeah, but anyone buys a ticket, whether it's Shannon Sharp or regular fan, should not do that. That is
I totally understand, but Shannon Sharp is one out of a million people that has the side with LeBron. Once you have a side with LeBron, one of these main players, anything
Then
gives. And you see
keep
that in
your
the
mouth
NBA.
shut and be a professional fan. That's my attitude.
All right.
No. Look, that's what gets me turned off with the NBA. That's one of the things that turns me off. Nobody beats the Rizz now. Yes or no? I want you Rizz to rate the quarterbacks. Trevor Lawrence. Let's start with him real quick. Give me a rating with Trevor Lawrence.
I'd give him a B plus at most.
Zach Prescott.
C plus, C minus, around there.
Daniel Jones.
Right around B minus.
Patrick Mahomes.
A plus, A minus, right around there.
Josh Allen.
Oof. I give him a B minus, maybe a C plus because of the interceptions.
And my favorite, Brock Purdy.
There's only one letter. You got to give him an A so far. He's undefeated, 7-0. Could be the first rookie quarterback in the Super Bowl.
Out of all those names, trust yes or no, which one would you go with?
I'm going with Patrick Mahomes 9 times out of 10. The only other guy I could go out of that, honestly, Trevor Lawrence, with the potential he's building year by year with Doug Peterson in Jacksonville.
I'm not a Niners fan, but I go with Brock Purdy. Did you know I was going to say that?
I had a feeling. You like this guy, Brock Purdy. Hopefully he makes it to the Super Bowl.
Guy comes in 12 wins in a row. What can you say? Wish he was a quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals, a team that doesn't have a quarterback. Yes or no, Rizz? Nobody beats the Rizz. The WBC coming up, we mentioned that, and the World Baseball Classic. Should that be played after the World Series, yes or no?
No, I like where it's played now. It's basically a spring training format for these guys to get ready for the 162-game season. And as much as they're trying going 100% like these compared to the spring training guys not doing that, I like these guys playing competitive baseball in March. All the stadiums are domed, so it's not like they're playing in cold weather, preventing injury all the time. So honestly, I like World Baseball Classic in March. Maybe move it to February, but February, March, that area, I like it.
Yes or no? Nobody beats the Rizz. Now, the revived XFL under the Rock, Dwayne Johnson. That's going to come up in the next month after the Super Bowl. Is that a fix for the football fan with the end of the NFL season? Yes or no?
I don't think that's a fix for the NFL fan, basically, because there's just so much in between an NFL season. You have the NFL draft in April, then the OTAs, the offseason, all that ramps up in July. So April to July is your slow tone, your slow period. I don't think the XFL is going to last. We've seen them try in and out year by year, but NFL is king. College football is right there along with it. Those are the two.
Yeah, but the XFL is not going to be like it was under Vince McMahon. The Rock, Dwayne Johnson has different rules that are going to be, and also more towards NFL fans. I think it's going to do much better this time around under the Rock. And he's a good businessman. Knows what he's doing. Yes or no? Nobody beats the Rizz. Boxing question: best young boxing sensation, Rizz? Yes or no? Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, Shakur Stevenson, or Gerard Bruce Ennis?
Oof. I feel like it's an ultimate coin toss between Garcia and Tank, and it's not because not just because the action in the ring. It's what the intensity and the amp up before and after the fights on social media. As much as these guys trash talk, and me and you don't like it, maybe audience out there don't like it, these fans love it. They love the social media back and forth. They love the cursing at each other, the press conferences. That's what these people buy in for, the pay-per-view streams. You see the numbers. So anything Garcia and Tank, those are the numbers. I got to go with those two.
Nobody beats the Rizz. Here we go. Another football question. Briefly, conference championship weekend. Is that your favorite part of the NFL season? Ooh. Conference championship weekend, Sunday?
That's a good question. My favorite week is honestly Wild Card Weekend because there's so much going on in those 3 days. But if I had to pick between Championship Weekend and Super Bowl, it'd be Championship Weekend 10 out of 10 because that's the ultimate main event for an NFL fan. The Super Bowl is anyone's party. Anyone can go to that game. Anyone can tune into that game. You're tuning in for the commercials, basically. So AFC, NFC Championship, that's where the football fans die and live for.
The Final Four, as you would call it in the NFL. All right, Wiz, I got you on the spot, as they always do with Nobody Beats the Wiz. Would you rather be right now in Hawaii, Puerto Rico, or somewhere else?
That's a good one. I've never been to Hawaii or Puerto Rico, but I'd like to go to Hawaii first, just because my tourist niche in me. I got to see Hawaii, and then Puerto Rico is something I would do with the media, the work, something like that along the lines. Hawaii would be my number one.
Well, I'm going to be in Puerto Rico soon, finishing up a project there, so I beat you to it again, my friend, my young protege. And finally, Nobody Beats the Wiz. Yes or no? Is your baseball schedule finalized for the new season that's coming fast?
It is funny you bring that up. I'm trying to finalize it month by month, and I started on April. I got 1 week towards it, 1 week in April, and I'm like, no, I don't know yet. I don't know what I'm going to be doing. So I got 1 week set out of a 162 game season. Trust me, there's going to be a lot to go by.
Well, Nobody Beats the Wiz. You beat me to that because I have no idea where I'm going to be after opening day yet. That's Nobody Beat the Wiz this week. Let's close it up. Skull Energy. That's our sponsor of the program. And get energized. Look for the Skull. Give them a call, 475-264-6091. Need to get energized? Look for the Skull at your local store, and will be nationally distributed soon with a coffee line to follow. Get energized with Skull Energy Fuel. All right, our last, we're not going to another break to wrap up. We're going to go right into the wrap of the program, 10 p.m. Eastern. This is Sports with Rich. I'm Rich Mancuso. That's the Wiz, Robert Rizzo. Like, comment, and subscribe on my channel at YouTube and more so on the SLG network. Comment also in the queue here. We still have a few more minutes to go. And our social media handles at the bottom of the screen. I'm at Ring786 at Twitter, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And the Wiz writes for Latinosports.com and can also be reached at the bottom. We're both co-editors of Latinosports.com. And where do they reach you, Wiz?
Follow me on Twitter, RobertRizz994, Instagram, RRizzo4, Facebook, Robert Rizzo. And like you said, catch all of our daily content on Latino Sports.
All right, let's wrap it up with the final segment of the program this week. And let's look at Ed Reed, this coaching situation with Ed Reed now. You're fascinated with this. Why?
I was fascinated from it from the beginning, and it happened about 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, as the negotiations for the contract were going through. Ed Reed was on campus at Bethune, I'm sorry if I'm saying this wrong, Bethune-Cookman University. He got hired there to be that.
You said it better than me.
And he got hired to be the football head coach. And over time, I believe this was his first visit on the campus. It was a total mess. Garbage everywhere. Football players cleaning it up. The coaches cleaning it up. It was a volunteer event. And he ranted on social media, particularly Instagram, going off on the campus's conditions, on how this isn't what he was told from the jump. And, quote, he said he couldn't make things work. The negotiations failed. A lot of backlash on Twitter, on social media, to the school, to Ed Reed, to Deion Sanders. People are going at everyone right now, and they just want the case straightened out right now because we saw the live streams, we saw Ed Reed's emotion, and it wasn't a nice sight overall, and it should get straightened out soon.
Hope so. Don't forget the hashtag at the top right left of your screen, /tag, and we want you to /tag SWR Sports with Rich. All right, college basketball. Talk a little bit about that because it's getting into that thick of the conference schedules, and March Madness will be here before you know it. Top 25 AP, and this is changes. Temple beats top-ranked Houston, and number 2 Kansas State loses the first time. This is the first time top 2 teams lose back-to-back days. That's never happened before, and I didn't know that.
It's crazy the stats, the records that go on year by year with college basketball, and week by week, changes happen. We talk about the rankings. I believe the biggest winners this week: Kansas State, Arizona, and Tennessee. Kansas State from 13 to 5, Arizona 11 to 6, and Tennessee climbed from 9 to 4. On the other hand, the biggest losers: Houston dropped 1 to 3, Kansas dropped from 2 to 9, and UCLA dropped from 5 to 8. So those are the three biggest losers and your three biggest winners from this past week.
You know, Wiz, this could be a very interesting March Madness. I think it might be wide open this year. You know, everyone's got Houston up there, and of course Kansas, the reigning champ. It could be wide open. Kansas is struggling right now.
No, I believe so too. It's going to be wide open, and I mentioned it before, I believe on the last show, how I believe this is the first official year since COVID. Every player is getting back adjusted to things, the normal schedule, a normal work condition. So you're going to see the ultimate teams pull out, make those comebacks, those magical runs this year around in March Madness for sure.
And tonight, Georgetown snapped a 29-game. This just came in. You know, I'm always on the alert over here. That's why I'm always slouching down, looking at my phone. That's why my eye's bad. I just got a note about Georgetown. They snapped a 29-game. Bear with me a second here, real quick. 29-game Big East losing streak with their win over DePaul. So there you go. Crazy what's going on in college hoops right now. And the Hoyas' most recent regular season conference win came against Xavier in March of 2021. Oh,
yeah,
they have 6-15, 1-9 in Big East conference play. So that just concluded. Wiz, let's go MLS. Let's look at that. You know what? They're in training camp already. You talk about short off seasons, that's the MLS. And this team in New York, NYCFC, continues to lose players to this exodus. Players don't stay in the MLS, which surprises me with the new multi-billion-dollar Apple TV contract. They need these guys, but NYCFC's lost some good name, good talent this past off season. The latest one there, Alexander Callens to La Liga, going for the money again.
He was the ultimate cornerstones of the franchise since Valentin Castellanos left. Alexander Callens, he's only 30 years old, out of Peru. Last 6 years he's been with NYCFC, building his name up. The fan base loves him. He played 164 games with NYCFC, only 11 goals scored, but his main thing was known on defense. He finished this past year as a finalist for Defensive Player of the Year throughout the MLS, and all his teammates, all his coaches praised him in the past. We heard it in press conferences, so I hope the best for him. I wish him the best of luck. Hopefully NYCFC can be back at what they were last year, the year prior, but a lot of players moving, a lot of coaches moving. You can never know.
In 2 weeks, the MLS preseason schedule begins. Season openers in mid-March. Unbelievable.
Like that.
Yep. All right. And this note comes from bettingnewyork.com. Top MLS social media followers. Take a look at that and look at the teams. The Galaxy of LA, the champs, on top. And New York CFC is right behind them. Miami third. And we're still waiting to see if Miami FC gets who was the Argentinian that won the World Cup?
Lionel Messi.
How quick I forget with my memory. So that could even increase. But look at those numbers, Wiz. You talk about major sports leagues that get top social media views and everything else. Look at the numbers here for the MLS, a sport in the United States among the major sports leagues that really doesn't get the attention.
No, it really doesn't get the attention. It's unfortunate because it's such a good sport, and there's NBA athletes, there's MLB athletes on their social media following that have more following than those team accounts, and it's unfortunate. MLS has to step it up year by year. They're growing, and we see the development. Apple TV signing here and there, the stadium developments, the players acquired. My biggest shock on that chart, honestly, was NYCFC is 3 times the following than the New York Red Bulls. The two New York teams, one has 3 times the following than the other. That was my biggest shocker out of the New York
Good
landscape.
point. Very good point. All right, let's go to NHL real quick, and we'll have Ashley Shaw, our NHL expert, on the show in a few weeks prior to their All-Star break coming up. I believe that's in 2 weeks, the NHL All-Star break, in a week, 10 days away. The Devils are starting to win again, and those Boston Bruins still with the top record in the league.
They're staying hot. I believe the best teams are staying in the Eastern Conference. The Bruins, the Devils are right there. Islanders, Rangers are making a name for themselves in the New York area. Not overall, but top 8, top 9 right now. And hopefully we get a Devils, Rangers, Islanders postseason.
Well, still a lot of NHL season to go as they approach their All-Star break, Rizz. All right, Avery, let's bring you in. Let's wrap this up. Let's get that other part of the fact of the week. You got part 1. But Avery, before, our great producer, thanks again for a great job. Remember, Skull Fuel Energy, our sponsor here on the program and on the SLG network. Avery, I got to bring this fact point up to you before we get to this fact of the week finalization tonight. Top fantasy football state in the country. And where does your state rank in Wisconsin? Fantasy football players.
My guess is the top state for fantasy. I feel like it's either got to be New York or California. I'm leaning more towards California. And then
I have to find that. I have to find where I got this. So I always get these crazy facts. Wiz, you get an idea, but I'm more interested in Wisconsin because that's where Avery is. Where does your state stand among fantasy football players?
They're probably in the top. My guess is in the top 20. I think we're in the upper half.
Off. Do you play fantasy football?
I do.
All right, well, you're way off with your state. You're really way off. Let me see if I can find this. I can tell you that the state of Wisconsin is number 3, ranked 3rd.
Wow.
With fantasy football players.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you now, Washington, D.C. is the most obsessed with fantasy football. Minnesota is 2nd. Massachusetts is 3rd. Oh, no, Massachusetts can't be 3rd because Wisconsin's 3rd. Let me get the chart up. Let me read my remember. Washington, D.C. No, see, I read that wrong. It is Washington, D.C., Minnesota, Massachusetts, then Wisconsin is 4th. 4th. Rhode Island and New Hampshire. Yeah. 7 is Pennsylvania.
Doing numbers.
North Dakota is 8. Colorado's 9. Connecticut is 10. New York and New Jersey aren't even in the top 20.
That's surprising to me.
Yeah, I'm surprised on that, but also they're concerned on the betting, all the legal gambling.
Well, again, and this comes from sideline.io. They do these type of surveys. They send them to me, and I mention them on the program. I'm going to get these guys on programs here where they come up with this stuff. But Wisconsin's number 4 among fantasy football players, Avery. All right. Enough of that. Fact of the week wrapped up, sponsored by Skull Energy Fuel. Get your energy needs. A number to call once again. Put that up, Avery, before we say bye. And then the phone number that you can get them, 475-264-6091. Need to get energized. Look for the Skull. Skull Fuel Energy. Well, you guys got the fact of the week, got part of it. And again, it was, and you congratulate you. You did get the NBA team. The player never had a distinctive losing streak. It was Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls. Never had a 3-game losing streak. That's what it was. Never had a – and how long was that streak, though? How many years? That's what I want to know.
I'm going to go with 7 years.
Close, Wiz, but not there.
I think it's 8. I think it's all the way from
it is 8. Avery, I can't
98.
beat you, man. I can't beat you He got that 8 years. I can't beat you. I don't know if you look it up or whatever, but you know what? It just goes to prove that my facts of the week have to get tougher and tougher, and I might have to send you a bobblehead because you're too good. You're getting.
I'm
too
looking
good
forward
for
to
this.
it. I want the bobblehead.
Locked in for next week
Yeah.
already.
Locked in.
Yeah, I'll have to make a trip to post office after all. I don't want to hear Cal complain. Now you. Good job, baby. Good job on the program for the last 2 hours or so. Always great behind the scenes. Thanks for improvising for us and keeping you're the captain of the ship. We don't do this without you, my friend. Keep it in the ring. Talk to you next week. Stay good.
All right. Keep it in the ring, Rich.
Wiz, another 2 hours more, a little of everything. And as always, thanks for your help. Thanks for being a great co-host and young protege as you are every week. Thanks, Julio Pobon, Latino Sports Ventures, a website we write for and co-edit, latinosports.com. Also, read my content on NewYorkSportsDay.com and some other websites. Just scan, browse, Google it. You'll find me. And Wiz, where did they get you again?
You can catch all my daily content on Latino Sports. Catch me on social media. Follow me on Twitter, RobertRizz994, Instagram RRizzo4, Facebook Robert Rizzo. And as always, keep it in the ring every Tuesday night on the SLG Network.
And that's what we do here each and every week, Tuesday live at 8 p.m. Sponsored by Skull Energy Fuel. Get rejuvenated. Look for the Skull. And there's your number and how to get it. Get energized. Look for the Skull Fuel Energy. Till next week, everyone, we want you to stay healthy, be safe, be good to each other. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like, comment, and subscribe again. YouTube, SLG Network, and my channel on YouTube, Rich Mancuso. As always, Wiz, till next week, have a good week. What do we say? God bless. And what?
Keep it in the ring.
Keep it in the ring, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week. God bless.